Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus the Twins. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel Lamson got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap. I am your boy Buzz, and I'm joined by my dude NWI Steve. And this isn't a post game. This is just a little conversation that we're going to have, and hopefully all of you join in with your comments on the comment section there, and we just talk about what transpired today. Before we get into this and share our depression with everybody, be sure you're going on tapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at Sox on Tap, at On Tap Sportsnet, and anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us, 5-star rating and review, because that's cool and tough. And also check out Grandstand. You follow them on socials at Grandstand Sox. Any apparel needs you need, go to Grandstand, check them out. They'll hook you up. Steve, we got some really unfortunate news today, my man. It came out, what was it, around like 2, 3 o'clock, I think it was, in the afternoon. I was really tied up at the day job that Rick Hahn was going to address the media about Luis Robert. And when I saw that, I figured that was going to be bad, and a lot of people were going to be sad/mad online. That's where we're at. It comes out that Luis Robert is going to be out for 12 to 14 weeks. The hip flexor that he sustained at the game you were at was actually a grade 3, which is a tear. It was a grade 3 strain, complete tear of the hip flexor. So he can get surgery. He can opt out of surgery. Either way, it's 12 to 13 weeks. First of all, hey, how are you? How you doing? And thoughts on this, my man?
Hey, yo, Buzz. I think as the saying goes, not great, Bob. Not great at all. It's really hard to take this news and feel good about where this team is going to go from here. And I think kind of lost, obviously the Luis Robert news is the headliner here. But the news that couples this, that makes it even more problematic, is that Adam Engel sustained another setback in his rehab, that it's going to now be another 3 weeks before he can even go on a minor league assignment. So we're looking at least a month here of combinations of Larry Garcia, Billy Hamilton, and Luis Gonzalez in center field on a team that thought they were a World Series contender at the start of the year. So now, couple that with the Eloy Jimenez news, you now have 2 of your starting outfielders that were all-star caliber players, and your number 4 outfielder missing significant time. I know a lot of people this offseason wanted to talk about, this team needed to, depth. I can only think of one team in the sport that could sustain losing 2 all-star caliber outfielders for 4 months apiece and your number 4 outfielder for 2 months and be able to survive it. So it sucks. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know how they fix this center field situation now, because you're in a spot where it's not even Memorial Day, and trades historically just don't happen this early in the season. And if you look at some of the teams that are obvious non-contenders, you look at teams like the Texas Rangers, the Baltimore Orioles, the Pittsburgh Pirates, you're not going to get a center field option there. Because, you look at teams like the Pirates and the Orioles have young guys under rookie level contracts. And, Texas doesn't really have a quality center field option. The Rockies don't have anybody. So I don't know what they do right now. I mean, you basically have to just hope that maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle with Luis Gonzalez for a couple of weeks, and maybe Larry can ride it out for another 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks here of getting hot. He's done that in the past. I mean, that's all you can hope for right now, and hope that you can just kind of tread water until Adam Engel gets back in a month.
My defense mechanism is showing right now because I'm smiling, even though I want tears. Going into the season with so much hype and stuff like that, and losing 2/3 of your outfield, arguably two budding superstars, right? Within Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert, it's just detrimental. It's horrible to happen. And you said something about the depth, and I don't care what team you are, man. And I'm so sick of hearing this narrative, and I don't care if I get lit up about it. It's just, when you lose two players like that, you're not going to have badass options on your bench that are going to replace the production that you were to get out of them. Injuries are part of the sport that are unfortunate, and being a Chicago sports fan is something that I'm all too used to, especially with the other Jerry Reinsdorf owned team. I dubbed this episode "Let the Bad Times Roll" because that's what's happening right now. And as you said before, you don't know where they go from here. And I'm going to bring it up, and I'm not trying to have a stupid cheap laugh about it.
But Buzz, I know where you're going here, and I have to stop you here. He can't cover center field.
He doesn't have to, Steve.
He can't. He can't.
He doesn't have to, Steve. You can put Adam Engel over there for a little bit.
Adam Engel's not coming back for a month.
I'm sorry, Adam Eaton. I apologize. You can put Adam Eaton.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, we saw that in 2015. That shit ended really, really bad.
But what would you rather do? Would you rather put him over there, who might have a shot and has done it at the major league level, or would you rather have Luis Gonzalez or Billy Hamilton in there every day? You got to get creative here, man. You have to. You have to at this point.
I am very staunch in my belief that Adam Eaton is not the solution there in that particular spot.
And you could be completely right. Like when we were having the conversation, I'm not trying to disregard your opinion. I'm just trying to think outside the box, brother.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they want to go to Puig, to help maybe spell Eaton in right field, I mean, at this point, that's fine. Whatever. They got to figure out some way to cover center field here, because Robert's not going to be back till September at the earliest. So, and like I said, you got a month until Adam Engel comes back. You got to figure something out here. And I think we've all kind of seen, even though he's made tremendous strides in what he's done in the last year and a half, Adam Engel playing every day is likely to get exposed again. He's been perfect in the particular role that he's been in as a fourth outfielder.
Right, exactly.
And I think you put him in that spot again where he's playing every single day and getting overexposed against right-handed pitching. We're just going to have a lot of the same complaints that we saw from 2018 and in the first half of 2019. So I don't know what they do here. I really don't.
Would you take a flyer on a guy like Josh Reddick? Or like Ryan Braun or something? I mean, because I thought I had read, and this is where I'm trying not to get too cloudy here, but I thought I had read that the legal stuff with Puig, he signed in Mexico, it was getting resolved. Listen, if he did something terrible, I don't want him here, just because that, I don't want him here if he's a terrible person. Like, I don't know what happened. I've read things, innocent until proven guilty type deal. I'm not sure what's going on, but there's a reason he doesn't have an MLB job, like you've pointed out 10 million times in the past to me. And I just like, that's kind of our bit. So I love to keep it alive because it's fun. It's just kind of fun to make at least put a smile on our face, because that's our little bit there. It's like me being 6 in the NWO and just jumping around you, like, with the stupid ass little comment, but it's just, I'm trying to think outside the box. And I look at a couple guys that are sitting in the free agent pool, and then Cespedes as well. Yoenis Cespedes, I read today that he will not sign anything other than a 2-year deal. So I don't know if that's
out
the window. He's out.
So
I'm trying to think outside the box. I'm trying to think of something that can help, because at this point, if they do ride with like a Lurie and a Billy Hamilton, a Luis Gonzalez, our friend Nick Williams is still, who was up here before, he didn't get picked up. He's going to be in Charlotte as the minor league rosters were announced earlier. I look at those options and I look at a couple of the guys that you could possibly take a flyer on, and those intrigue me more than that because I think we've seen that before. But I think at the end of the day, if they stand pat, you really need Jose Abreu to pick it up and get above the Mendoza line. You need Yasmani Grandal to pick it up. I mean, you're really going to be relying heavily on the players that you have invested in to help carry you. And this is a time where you kind of see a clubhouse, which we're going to touch on this in a moment as well, a clubhouse that is broken a little bit with the two guys that have the most fun and the two guys that got the most smoke around them that are now gone in Eloy and Luis Robert. And that really kills your outfield, man.
You bring up a great point there, Buzz. This is time for the big boys, your veteran guys, your guys that you were counting on to lead what we thought was going to be a very lengthy lineup. It is time for them to step up. Jose Abreu, the MVP chance for the first month and everything have been nice. He's been dog shit outside of 2 or 3 games. I mean, let's be real about it. Yasmani Grandal has been absolutely atrocious. And I know the on base percentage is passable because of the walks, but you got to start hitting the ball out of the ballpark. That's it. These two guys, they got to step it up. And Yohan Moncada's got to start hitting the ball for some power here. Adam Eaton's got to get out of this funk he's in. Your guys that you were counting on have to get this thing figured out here quickly, and your pitchers have to step this thing up now. Lucas Giolito, you fancy yourself a $200 million pitcher. It's time for you to go out there and start fucking. I don't see any more bullshit that we saw in Boston or the Tigers. And everyone talk about you need to go out there and you need to take the ball and you need to shove it up Akil Badu's ass and let him have a pitch at bat and work a walk and then put you in a position where you've got Wilson Ramos coming up and hitting a double to tie the game. You got to bury those jabronis out there, right? Dallas Keuchel. You can't be going out there losing your command and giving up 4 runs against a piss poor Cleveland Indians team. All right, you want to be a leader. You want to be a guy that is out there in front talking to the press all the time when something's wrong. Get your shit together. You're a veteran. You're a Cy Young winner. You've been in a World Series champion. Act like it. All right, Dylan Cease, you looked good against. Follow it up here. Or on Wednesday against the Cincinnati Red team. You got to get it going. And most importantly, and everyone knows I was championing this bullpen at the start of the season. I thought this was going to be the best bullpen in the American League. They have been anything but that to start the year. Figure it out. You got to figure it out now. Evan Marshall, get it there. Aaron Bummer, you had a nice outing over the weekend. You need to build on it. All right, Matt Foster, you need to get together. So the guys that we thought and we were counting on, whether offensively, pitching on the run prevention side, you guys, it's up to you guys now. Because they're not going to be significant reinforcements coming here for a month. So you got to find a way here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pitching has been decent as of late. Outside of really Keuchel and Giolito, which wasn't really a guess. I think Giolito only has like one quality start within in all of his starts this year. But the Sox in ERA are top 8 in the in all of the MLB in pitching stats or in ERA. I'm sorry. They've been decent. The starters have been good. It's just you're going to have to kind of win now with pitching and maybe short runs. I don't know how else you're going to really do it at this point. And it's upsetting just because of where we're at. And I don't know, and you brought up Dylan Cease as well. Like, I don't know what it's looking like with him. I don't know if they're going to, they brought up today on 670 the score after the game was over, looking at possibly moving him because he does have some high upside. If you're really trying to compete and bring somebody in, I don't know how likely that is. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if Rick Hahn's going to pull the trigger, because he likes to say an open contention window for many years to come. It's just it's a rough spot to be in right now. And it just feels weird. I don't think the season's all doom and gloom I do think that they could still somewhat be competitive even without Luis Robert, but I just kind of don't know where they go. And that's the thing, whether you look from the outside or you try to ride with what you have now. But if the bats in your lineup, the two most highly paid guys in the lineup in Abreu and Grandal don't pick it up, this is going to be a very long and hard few months until those guys come back. I'd like to see Sockside Mike just put something in the chat here. Kopech moves up, he's traded for depth. I mean, that's something that could possibly happen, but I don't know either. That we've heard a lot of rumors that Michael Kopech, they want to watch him. I don't know if there's an innings limit on him or what. It's been kind of hush with that. They want to make sure he's here for, meaningful baseball in September and trying to get into October or in October. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. I'm at a kind of a loss for words, honestly. It's just kind of, if it could go bad, it's gone bad. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it, man.
You're absolutely right. No, you're spot on there with your assessment of things. One other aspect that I feel like people aren't necessarily looking at with this Robert news, obviously the impact to the lineup, but this is going to have a significant impact on their run prevention and on the pitching staff as a whole, because you take away a guy that if he wasn't, the number one center fielder in the American League, he was, a 1A beneath, Byron Buxton. I mean, those two guys are really kind of neck and neck from a defensive standpoint here. So now you're in a spot where you've got a left field scenario with a rookie who had never played above Class A ball, had never played left field in his life, trying to learn at the major league level. The other corner, you got Adam Eaton, who has been doing some pretty stupid shit out there. I mean, let's just be completely honest here. And I'm very worried that he's going to continue running himself into walls, sliding himself into bases. And he could be the next domino to fall here, which, I mean, if that happens, my God, I don't know what the hell they do. So you got two guys in the corners there. And then your center field options for the time being are a 4A guy that, in Luis Gonzalez, who I think is a quality enough defender, but I don't know that he's going to hit. And then your two other options are two guys that can at least handle center field, I think, in a passable way with Lurie. Obviously, Billy Hamilton has proven time and time again he can handle that position, but neither one of those guys can really provide you much offensively. So I think the defensive aspect is the thing that I'm the most concerned about here until Adam Engel returns, because this is going to have a pronounced impact on the starting pitching, and I think also then on the bullpen that, for lack of a better term, right now isn't striking enough guys out. You put three suspect outfielders in there that could be very problematic here, and the schedule doesn't do them a whole lot of favors here over the next couple of weeks if you take a look at it. So they got to find a way. This is where everybody wants to talk about Tony La Russa having gone through a lot of these scenarios in his time as a manager. This is time for him to earn his money and find a way to pull this team together.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's like a perfect transition into the next part that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, this Luis Robert news is highlighting the episode, and that's why we're live right now doing it. Usually we do a Sunday fun day where we kind of recap the week, but we had to do it tonight because it was just this news that came out is just so depressing, and you just got to talk about it and try to figure out ways to, which our ways aren't going to translate on the field. And Rick Hahn can give two shits what anybody has to say that's, on social media or does these podcasts or whatever. But a thing that came out today was that Tony La Russa is being, he's being scrutinized by media, and it's coming out that he's, I don't want to say losing the clubhouse, but being questioned within the clubhouse. And at a time like this, where you lose one of your best players and you're sitting at 15-12 over what we've talked about when you and I have done post games, questionable decisions. I mean, that just seems like a whirlwind of shit that is all hitting at once that spells for bad fucking news, brother. that spells for bad news. I don't care that he's a Hall of Fame baseball manager. I know everybody on Twitter, oh, Hall of Fame baseball manager guy, person, whatever. Like, yeah, I get it. We there's people that rip on him. I was questionable of the hire, and I know you got my back on that from the beginning, but I was questionable for due diligence wise. If that was Jerry's guy, it was fucking Jerry's guy. Nothing else was going to happen. But the fact that this is coming out now, and then you get this other shitty news as a White Sox fan and somebody who's invested into this team, it's like, oh my God. Like, we have waited years for this paper, and I'm calling it paper because that's what you looked good on coming into the season. You look good on paper. Now you're taking a pen and you're crossing off these names due to injury, or in some instances with Tony La Russa, due to playing time, like Yermin Mercedes getting benched for being late the other day, or this or that or the other. And you know, it's just all this shit hitting the fan at once is overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming to a fan, what the fuck do you think is happening in the clubhouse?
So, Buzz, can you elaborate at all on this La Russa stuff in the clubhouse? Because I obviously was not aware of some of the stuff that's kind of been coming out here. I was kind of a little bit all over the map today, and I don't know if anyone tuning in has heard the news. I'm not on a lot of these social media platforms that a lot of the kids are on today, so I'm not necessarily as up to date on things. So, what is, I guess, the genesis of all of this?
So basically an article came out today, and this is the first place that I saw the article come out. You know, I was at work doing a bunch of different shit. And supposedly this article came out on 670 Score. It said a report for some in the White Sox clubhouse, patience is growing thin regarding Tony La Russa. Now I'll pull up and I'll read you the first paragraph. Patience is growing thin from some in the White Sox clubhouse regarding manager Tony La Russa's in-game strategical decisions, according to Jeff Passan on ESPN, reported Monday morning. Second paragraph. The development comes as no surprise after La Russa bungled a pair of decisions in a 5-2 loss to the Tigers Tuesday. In that contest, he left in Lucas Giolito in during the seventh for several key at-bats by the Tigers that undid the White Sox, with Giolito later explaining he was running out of gas. La Russa admitted he didn't realize Giolito was tiring. So that's one of them. Then it comes to the lineup decision. So we just talked a little bit of pitching here, and we've known with the bullpen with his Matt Foster debacle earlier in the year, that's something that has gone on to this. The next paragraph goes on to read, with the White Sox trailing by 3 in the bottom of the 8th of that game and tying the run at the plate, La Russa chose to let the light hitting Billy Hamilton hit instead of using a power bat off of the bench. And that was the game I believe you and I did when we talked about why didn't we use Collins there. I'm like 90% sure we did that game. And I was like, well, if he, you know, why didn't he use Collins there or Vaughn even? Because I believe Vaughn wasn't playing. And he said he was looking for a single. And that's the report. That's the gist of it from Jeff Passan. Now, I don't know. I'm not in the clubhouse. And for some of these media members, Steve, this is, and this goes back to talking to Joe Cowley when we did the Bulls on Tap with him, Goose and I, and him saying it's just been so different this year for the Bulls, because if you remember, they didn't get to play in the bubble last year, and not even that media members got to fucking go there either. But this year, these media members don't have the access that they've had in the past. So you're not gaining that intel. You're not around the players all the time. You're doing Zoom. You're doing what we're doing right now, essentially, except there's Zoom meetings, just talking, asking questions or whatever. So it's hard for these guys to get a read on that. So whatever I don't know if Jeff Passan would just go out and make a story to make a fucking story. Obviously, we know within Chicago media that this has been an ongoing thing where whether you're ESPN 1000 or whether you're 670 The Score, whether you're on Tap Sportsnet, whether you're, you know, fan-sided, whatever you are, there's been questions over Tony La Russa's in-game management. And we know this, but when they say it's coming from within the clubhouse, somebody with a little bit of pull, in my opinion, has either been asked a question on the, you know, off the record where a reporter didn't use said individual's name and reported it out. There's got to be some weight behind it, because again, like I said before, if we're noticing it, I mean, what's going on in the clubhouse?
Yeah. So a couple things. Jeff Passan is pretty much the gold standard as far as baseball reporting in 2021, as far as I'm concerned. If it's not him, it's Ken Rosenthal, and those two are really kind of neck and neck. He doesn't put stuff out there unless it's very well sourced, and he doesn't put out things just for clicks. He's not Boob Nightingale. He's not some of these other schlubs that fancy themselves as national baseball reporters. So there's got to be some merit to what is said from that perspective. And I know if you kind of read the tea leaves on some of the things that Passan has talked about in the past with this organization, it certainly seems like in a number of cases he's gotten intel directly from Rick Hahn. Now, it would be a very bold move, I would say, for the general manager to put this out there with a guy that was not his choices as the manager. And basically, he had his nuts cut off during this entire managerial hire process for him to then turn around to one of the leading national baseball writers and say, hey, this is kind of what's going on in the clubhouse right now. If you want to sound smart, you can go ahead and you can kind of write something about this. But that's really damning. Yeah, to come from someone who carries as much weight in the industry as Jeff Passan, that's not a good sign.
No, it's not. And that's exactly what my point is. It's, you want this clubhouse now within this injury. I mean, God, when Eloy tore his pec, I mean, it was like he died, and we all made jokes about it. For God's sakes, there's a Twitter account called Eloy's Ghost. And it just gets me. It gets me every time.
What is this Twitter thing that you speak of?
Oh, it's a social media platform where you have some people with good takes and that are polite, or you have people with bad takes that are polite. Then you have a bunch of people that hate everything and want to watch the world burn. I think I'd like to find myself in the middle. But who knows? That's where it's just a congregation of people that talk sports or any other worldly news, really. And you could follow us there at On Tap Sportsnet or Sox on Tap if you'd like. But, I go back to looking at this and to a point that I had brought up earlier, you're going to really lean on your veterans that have done it before, your Yasmani Grandals, your Jose Abreu's. You're going to lean on these guys. I mean, Tim Anderson's been doing it for 2 seasons. I guess a half if you the 60 game thing. You know what I'm talking about. But you're going to be leaning on these guys to carry the burden of this with being so injured. Now, can they get in the right mind frame to rally around each other if this Passan report is, which you said before, he's a gold standard. It's got to be somewhat legitimate. There's got to be something there. Now, can they rally around each other to make something happen where they can remain competitive until you get Luis Robert back, which I saw best case scenario is late August, early September. And then we already knew the timeline for Eloy was going to be September, middle of September or something like that, if he's able to come back. And if moves aren't made and they go the way that they're going now, right, it's going to be very difficult if these guys don't pick it up. Now, if they go to an outside guy who might be able to, provide a spark, or possibly not just provide a spark, but a career resurgence of some sorts, whether that's a Josh Reddick, Yasiel Puig, or Ryan Braun or something like that, I don't know. Or if they make a trade. But like you had pointed out in the beginning of the episode, it's kind of too early for that without, would you say overpaying is fair to say?
It's not just overpaying, but you still have teams really trying to assess what they ultimately are. You could go into the season and think that you're not going to be competitive, but then you get some things that kind of break right. And then all of a sudden, you're in the midst of a playoff push, come August, September. I mean, it happens pretty frequently. You look at a team like the Giants. Nobody thought that they were going to be challenging anybody in the NL West. Nobody thought they were going to be able to play with the Dodgers or the Padres. And I've said frequently, April is the most misleading month of baseball on the calendar. And this very well could just be the Giants just, coming out of the gate hot. And over the course of the next 5 months, things will normalize and they will kind of go back to what all of us think that they are. But they're getting some tremendous pitching right now, and they're getting resurgences like you talk about from Evan Longoria, from Buster Posey. And so for a team like that to then turn around and be like, well, coming into the season, we thought we were just going to be able to move some assets at the trade deadline. But if they keep playing well, if they build confidence and if they get production out of some of, the few young guys that they have on their roster right now, and you get continued quality performances from some of your veterans, and you stick around, it's very hard to justify moving guys right now. And even a team like the Texas Rangers, look, that's not a good team. I saw them up close and personal twice last weekend. That is not a good baseball team, but they're not that far out of things right now. So they're not going to start moving guys in the month of May. And it's just, there's not a lot of good options. Like I think that, you talked about Puig, you talked about Reddick. I think ultimately they have to look at someone that can at least give you a passable center field. Really, the only options that I think make ideal sense for this, Kevin Kiermaier with the Tampa Bay Rays, because I know the Rays would move the contract in a heartbeat. But the thing is, Kiermaier can't really hit, so you're not getting much offensive production. I mean, it will help shore up the defense. The other option I was thinking about, but again, we're still a month too early here, was maybe Starling Marte with the Marlins, but he's got a fractured rib, so he's not even going to play till June. So looking externally at someone to try to fill this center field void right now, again, I just come back to what I said earlier in the episode. I don't know what the options are right now, and I just think that center field is the area that has to be addressed, because I just don't think, moving Adam Eaton and then bringing in a Reddick or a Puig to cover right field is going to have the desired impact that we want it to.
Well, I've kind of kicked the tires on the Mitch Haniger thing, which was rumored, but with Seattle, being, what are they right now? Like 16 and 13, I think.
Exactly. That's another
place.
Yeah, that's a perfect example right there. That's a team that nobody thought was going to be any good this year, and they came out. They had a really good month of April, and like they're not going to move. They're not going to move Mitch Haniger yet. I mean, I guess the next question I have to ask is: have you been talking to Jordan Lazowski a lot?
No, I haven't. Why?
He's been on that Mitch Haniger train since going back to Eloy's injury.
I'm a huge Lazowski fan. I like Jordan Lazowski a lot.
Jordan's
I haven't really talked to him about that. But it was just kind of something that I've read about last year, kicked the tires on. I actually wrote an article, if you remember, for On Tap last year about Haniger and what that would look like and what it would possibly take to get him. But then he had the nut problem, if you remember. He had like, I don't know if he lost. I don't know if he lost a testy or what happened, but it was something along those lines. And I was just like, oh man, but I was kind of looking at that. But then, as I've been watching some Mariners baseball on the MLB. I have the MLB TV, so I've been checking that out a little bit. And like I got a game on right now, and I'm just, just kind of looking and then going online and looking at free agents or maybe players that are willing to be moved. And I kind of go back to your opinion and agree with it and echo the sentiments that I don't really think that they're going to be able to do something right now. And if they do, I'm not really sure it's going to be anybody of significance, especially off of a competing team, that'll be able to come and help you. And that's a major problem with Engel suffering his setback. And again, I keep the same energy. You say he changed his swing and all this shit. Adam Engel is a fourth outfielder on a good team. And I believe that truly. I really do. And it's nothing against Adam Engel. It's nothing against him. The outside the box thing with Adam Eaton moving to center and bringing in a right fielder, it's something that I might explore. And then if it blows up in our face, well, what the fuck else was going to happen? Something bad's going to happen. I don't know. But at this point, a lot of bad has happened. That's why this episode is dubbed Let the Bad Times Roll, because it's just going to keep fucking happening, I guess. I don't know where you go from here. You can't replace a guy like Eloy, who we were talking about hitting 40-plus bombs, and a guy like Luis Robert, whose bat was heating up a bit there. I mean, he was he's above 300 batting. He was hitting the ball well. He plays a good center field, a really good center field, and it's just you lose that, you're in trouble. And that's where they're at. And I don't know. Again, I don't know where they go. We gave some options that they could possibly look at. But the one thing that scared me in Hans' presser today, dude, listening to the little tidbits of it on the radio was, he just said that he doesn't want to make a move because this is an open contention window. He's going to be smart about something he does. And when we were all, and I can kind of relate this and tell me if I'm wrong, but I kind of relate this to last year at the trade deadline when we knew we needed a third pitcher in that shortened season, a third starter, and he didn't want to pull the trigger on it. Now, I know this is a different circumstance, but it's still kind of along the same lines because you're trying to compete. And I know it's early, but when you look at the talent that is here and that's available to you, it's almost a mirror image of, is he just going to stand pat and let it ride out? Because if he does, Steve, and it doesn't click, we're not talking about Soxtober.
Well, when talking about, and to kind of circle back to the scenario last year about looking to get a third starting pitcher, I had heard from numerous people that the Texas Rangers' ask for Lance Lynn was Andrew Vaughn. Would you, or how many people within this fan base, aside from, well, I guess he's not really part of this fan base. I know Twins fan Ken would have been fine with it, but a lot of people wouldn't have been very thrilled with that. Or you get certain people that would say, oh, trade Vaughn, Stever, and Kopech for Mike Clevenger, who then promptly had his elbow blow up. So the fact that there was no minor league season last year to where some of the guys that they have in their system would have had game action to be able to further their development really hurt them a season ago. So hopefully, with the minor leagues starting up here again this week, the opportunity for them to maybe use some capital that they have down in the lower minors to get a veteran piece to try to fill, one of these holes here could be something that may happen here if they perform well. And I think there's enough guys, or not enough, but there are some interesting names down in the low minors that could get you some solid returns. So I think you're right, though, in the sense that Hahn has not historically shown that he has the balls to make the bold move, especially during, a contention window, so to speak. I know a lot of people like to say that it was, bold trading, Chris Sale and Adam Eaton, the Jose Quintana deals and everything. I don't necessarily know that those were that bold. I think that this is definitely a scenario where if they can tread water here for a month and then, the calendar flips to June and then teams start looking at flipping people, he's going to have to make a bold move if he really wants to talk about maximizing and taking advantage of this season. And he talks about every season being sacred. Well, if you get through the month of May in okay position here, you got to give some real thought to doing something that may hurt.
Well, right. And I mean, that if you want to be competitive, that's the thing. Like I said, I've seen Dylan Cease, and this is just through people on Twitter talking, and going back to your point before about, people not being okay with trading Andrew Vaughn last year, or would you have been okay with trading Andrew Vaughn last year? A lot of people that would have been okay would also expect the Sox to pay for somebody like a George Springer or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they would want to supplement losing an advanced bat like that, when that's just not realistic. And is that right that it's not realistic? No, probably not. But that's just the reality of it, man. I'm not here to judge what is right and what is wrong. It's not my fucking money. I can't tell anybody how to spend their money. I just can't do it. But
no, you absolutely can. It's just they're not going to listen.
Well, right. Yes, I can talk at them then. I can't tell them anything, but I can talk at them and let them know to spend the money. But, like you said, man, I think that along your thought process and hearing out your opinion, you're probably more likely right than anything. Whatever happens isn't going to happen in a day. It's probably not going to happen in 2 to 3 week span. It'll probably be in June, mid-June, when teams learn what they are after, 2.5 months into the season, where they're willing to flip guys. And maybe that's when the Sox strike and they need to stay afloat for now. If they do bring in an outside source, might as well try it, because what you have in Billy Hamilton, what you have in Luis Gonzalez, what you have in Nick Williams, what you have in Lurie Garcia. I mean, those names I just mentioned, you don't want any of them starting on what was hopeful to be a World Series contending team. And again, just because the Sox lose Luis Robert doesn't mean they can't still be productive and a competitive team. It's just going to really fucking hurt And that's when you either get creative or you ride it out and just see what happens. I mean, I guess that's both scenarios. I guess if you get creative and you ride it out and see what happens, that's all I really have. I don't really know what else to touch on. I think we hit a lot of it.
Yeah, we did. It comes back to something that you really drove home earlier. It is incumbent at this juncture for Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal. Those guys have to step up. Adam Eaton has to step up. And if they're going to win games at this point, I think they're probably going to have to win more with pitching at this juncture. So Giolito, Diamond Dallas, the bullpen, it's go time here. You know, you've lost two big offensive pieces, and if this team really does fancy themselves a playoff contender, your veteran guys, your guys that have been there before, have played in and won World Series, you got to step up here. That's
right.
it.
And I'm also, and be honest with you, with Luis Robert going down, there's no way Andrew Vaughn can't be in the lineup pretty much every day. I mean, that just has to be it. And hopefully he can, with consistent at bats, he can, strike some lightning, like you said earlier in the episode. Guys got to start stepping up, and he's got to be one of them. And he's been thrust into a situation in his rookie year with nothing, like you said earlier, above Class A ball at a new position. It's a lot to put onto a young player, but he was a high draft pick for a reason. He's the most advanced bat. It was what they said when he was coming out of the draft, and we need to look for big things out of him too. Hopefully, it's not gonna take over or supplement Luis Roberts' productivity, but if he can be what a lot of people think he can be, I think that'll take a little bit less of the sting away. And I could be wrong on that, but that's what I'm hoping for, I guess.
You're absolutely right, Buzz. If he does start to hit for the power that we were promised he has in his bat, and that I do believe is there. I was talking about this, the post game on Friday night with Tony. I think that aside from the bats against Shane Bieber on Friday, which look, Shane Bieber can make a 10-year veteran look overmatched, let alone a guy that had never seen a breaking ball of that quality above Class A ball up until 3 weeks ago. So if Andrew Vaughn starts to hit the ball out of the ballpark with consistency, given the quality of the plate approach that he has displayed to this juncture here, that will help tremendously. And they desperately need that. They need somebody. I don't know who it's going to be. If it's one of the veteran guys, if it's Andrew Vaughn, if it's Dylan Cease, or if it's continued from Carlos Rodon, somebody here has to step up, and you have to pick up the slack at this juncture. I don't know what else there really is to say.
Yeah, there's really not much to say, man. Like, we just got to kind of ride it out and see what happens. But that's all I got for this one. Any closing thoughts, my dude?
Let's go get him tomorrow in Cincinnati. Carlos, you're on the mound. You had a hell of a month. You probably should have been the American League Pitcher of the Month, but you don't pitch for the New York Yankees. So go get him tomorrow. It's a weak-ass Cincinnati Reds team. Find a way.
Yeah. I guess I echo the same sentiments. Go out there, get a dub tomorrow, try to take the sting away, and hopefully it all works out. Everybody be sure you're going on tapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at @tapsportsnet, at Sox on Tap. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. 5-star rating and review, because that's cool and tough. Go to Grandstand for all your White Sox apparel or Chicago sports apparel needs. Follow them on socials at Grandstand Sox. I don't know who will be on the post game tomorrow, but tune in tomorrow after the Sox play the Reds on the post game. And I guess White Sox forever, man.
White Sox.